Get ready. Straight from the streets of LA.
Lower Alabama, that is.
We're talking SEC football, and that's all. This is AP and Kelly as we see it.
I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I said I'm all about that action.
I'm AP Stedham from LA, Lower Alabama. This is AP and Kelly as we see it, a syndicated weekly 1-hour show discussing the Southeastern Conference and always keeping an eye on the national college football scene and more. And you might be looking for Kelly this week, but Kelly will be back next week. We got a special guest host with us, Jacob Holcomb, a student at Mississippi State University. Hey, Jacob, how are you?
I'm good. This week is AP and Jakey as we see it.
Very good. Creative. I love that. That's awesome. That's fun. That's fun. But Jacob, yeah, we have a lot of fun on the show. Jacob helps produce the show. So he's a great pinch hitter. He's our slot receiver.
That's right. Pulling a little double duty here. I'm a two-way player this week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Jacob, we always start out the show. We mention our social media platforms on Instagram and Facebook and also on the X account. And we know that we can watch the show now on video on my YouTube channel, AP Stedham, and also watch it on our show's channel, AP and Kelly, as we see it. So check us out on the YouTube, AP and Kelly, as we see it. You can watch it. We usually have the show up each week. So, and it's archived there, Jacob, so they can watch it. If they miss it, they can watch it next week or whenever at their convenience.
Yes, sir. Anytime, any place.
And Jacob, we also like to mention the fact that we love our sponsors, Greer's Markets. We know that family, friends, and football, those three things, especially in the fall when the SEC season is, all those great ball games are happening. So if you can't get to Greer's Markets, you can call an audible and go to Greer's Groceries, and you can click on that and have the groceries to go. And you can find all those items. Just order them online, and they'll be delivered to your house, to your venue. Maybe you're working on Saturday a little bit, but hopefully not. You're watching the ball games, SEC ball games, college football. But you can click on the groceries to go and order from Greer's Markets. And remember, Jacob, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. So we like to thank Greer's Groceries. Jacob, we also like to thank Wind Creek. They have the 3 locations in Alabama, in Atmore, and Montgomery, and Wetumpka. And Jacob, we know the first-time members, when you sign up, if you say you listen to the show and the commercial on the show, it has a special code for the $25 bonus, Kelly25. That's Kelly with a Y, 25. And Jacob, first-time members who are participating also have a chance at a $1,000 rebate.
Wow.
Yeah. So check out those rules. You can read all the particulars, Joseph, or ask about them at the sign-up table. The sign-up window at the 3 locations in Alabama, Atmore, Montgomery, and Wetumpka. And you can see all those things on our ticker, as Jacob puts that up for us, the Greer's Markets, the Wind Creek, and then our last sponsor is Robertsdale Dental Care. And we have the signage up there also. You can get a hold of them at 251-947-3636. That's Dr. Jason Northcutt. He specializes in many dental procedures. We ask you to drop by and he'll take care of you. Him and his staff do a great job. So we really, really appreciate it. So Jacob, those are our sponsors, our social media. So let's get down to the show. What do we have up for this week, Jacob, for ball games?
Yeah, so I guess our first game that we can talk about here, Auburn traveling up to Missouri.
Okay. Yeah, Jacob, the Tigers versus the Tigers, Jacob.
That's right. I feel like that'll be a pretty interesting game. Even though, Auburn's unranked, they've had some struggles here this year. But I don't know. Missouri, these past couple weeks, I feel like they haven't looked quite as good as they did early.
Absolutely. They've underperformed for sure, especially that Texas A&M game, 41-10 on the road. They came back. They played UMass last week. They won 45-3 up in Amherst. The first time those teams played. Jacob, the series between Auburn and Missouri is 3-1 in favor of Auburn. Missouri, the 19th ranked team, they're a 4.5-point favorite. I mean, that's to be expected. We've been saying Auburn, Jacob, all season will be a spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
We really haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. No, but I mean, anytime Hugh Freeze is your coach, there's always going to – I remember because I grew up 40 minutes from Oxford. Anytime Hugh Freeze was coaching, they were going to play to their competition. So if it was a team, Ole Miss would lose to Memphis when they were ranked in the top 15, but then they would turn around and, beat Bama twice in a row.
That's right.
Anytime Hugh Freeze is there, they're always going to be in the game.
Yeah, that's that type of team. The Achilles heel for Auburn all year is that turnover margin. Jacob, we checked the stats this week, minus 1.83. That's 130th in the country, Jacob. There's only about 3 or 4 teams below them. That's an atrocious stat. You never want to be in football, be at that level, because more than likely you're losing multiple ball games, not just one, multiple ball games, and your offense suffers. Jacob, here's an interesting stat, if you can figure this out. Total offense, Auburn, 33. Total up 33, pretty good number. Pretty good number. Scoring offense, Jacob, 60. That's where the turnovers come into play.
Yeah, so they're moving the ball down the field, but they can't capitalize.
No, absolutely. Yeah, they're not good bankers or stockbrokers. They don't. No, they don't. Their offense does not pay dividends. Yeah, for sure, right? So, and then Mizzou, their scoring defense and total defense is 12. Excellent numbers, not against A&M, but they're in the country 12th. Their pass defense is 7th, and their turnover margin is 21st, 0.83. So they take the ball away from you, and that's kind of a bad matchup for Auburn if that stat hole is true on both sides. Auburn gives the ball away, Missouri takes the ball away. So you look for Mizzou to win that game. I don't foresee Auburn upsetting Mizzou on the road. I just don't.
Yeah. I don't either. And that stadium in Columbia is an underrated place to play.
Yeah.
Or it's an underrated environment, I guess.
Right.
So I agree.
Yeah, and Jacob, they're still in the thick of the race with just that one loss. It was a bad loss, but they still can determine their destiny. So I think Missouri will play better. They haven't had as many explosive plays, especially with Luther Burden III, although he's made some had some great touchdowns for them this season. But anyhow, so Jacob, we got to move on to the next game. Who do we have?
All right, we got Kentucky matching up against Florida in Gainesville.
These two teams, Jacob, I mean, Kentucky had the great win at Oxford. I covered that ball game, and they put up two of the best defensive efforts, I think, in the country when they held Georgia to 13 and Ole Miss on the road to 17. And I'm thinking they can win. But Vandy, as a hot team, as we know, they beat Alabama and Kentucky back-to-back. Alabama at home, Kentucky on the road. They scored 20 points and held Kentucky to 13. Kentucky's offense, they have really sputtered all season, Jacob, with Brock Vandagriff and company. I don't know the reason why, because Brock is a good quarterback. He can make some nice throws, as I saw in the Ole Miss game on the road. He really led him to that victory with some of his passes, especially that one down the sideline on 4th down. But Kentucky, their pass offense, Jacob, 121. 121 is their pass offense. Total offense, 116. Scoring offense, Jacob, 114. Their rush defense is good at 10. We know. Their pass defense is good at 13. Total defense, Jacob, 4th in the country. Think about that. And they're sitting there with a 3-3 record, 1-3 in the conference. So the numbers are great on defense, but Jacob, you need a little bit of offense. They're one of the teams in America. We're always saying you need a little bit of defense. The exact opposite for Kentucky and the Wildcats. They need some offense.
Yeah.
And, but we know Florida is a team sitting at 3-3. They lost to Tennessee in overtime. A great effort on the road. That was an overtime victory by the Volunteers, 23-17. Florida, their rush defense is 96th. We know that Kentucky likes to run the ball. Mark Stoops, he always feels comfortable pounding away and giving his team a chance to put the other team's offense on the sideline, eat up the clock, and then play defense. Their total defense is 87, scoring defense is 73, turnover margin is 97th at 0.50. Florida turns the ball over.
Yeah.
So, and Florida is a 1-point favorite in Gainesville in this game, Jacob.
Yeah, and I honestly, I think the difference there, the reason that Florida is favored at all, because I think Kentucky will actually win this game, but that the Swamp is
Right.
an incredibly hard place to go
Yeah.
and take a win.
Yes, they can put some points on the board. They sure can. I think DJ Lagway is going to be the starter, the freshman quarterback, because Graham Mertz is injured, which was too bad because he's a good quarterback, but he doesn't have this supporting cast to assist him to victory. So DJ Lagway, the freshman, will probably start that ball game. Two teams that are really floundering. It can go really south, whoever loses this game, Jacob. But anyway, Jacob, we're going to be right back after these messages. Our guest, Wes Rucker of 247 Sports, Go Vols. So he'll be in segment 2 and 3. We'll be right back after these messages with AP and Kelly as we see it.
Let the games begin at Wind Creek Casino, where new players get a free play rebate of up to $1,000 based on their first day's play. Just stop by Player Services at any Alabama location and sign up for a rewards account to get all the details. Mention you heard this ad on the radio and give the code Kelly25 and we'll throw in a $25 free play bonus. That's KELLY 25. Don't miss out on our new player promise, exclusively from Wind Creek. Minimum $75 loss required for free play rebate. Get full details at windcreek.com or see Player Services.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greer's.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.
And we're back with AP and Kelly as we see it, and our very special guest is Wes Rucker of 247 Go Vols. Wes, we'd like to welcome to AP and Kelly as we see it.
Hey, how y'all doing tonight?
Oh, good, Wes. I mean, I think you're probably getting ready or have been getting ready. This is all such an important game that we're going to discuss. Alabama, Tennessee. You know, for some fans, Wes, this part of the country, Alabama and Tennessee. Tennessee was the primary rival because they didn't play Auburn for 40 years.
Uh-huh. Oh yes, I remember that. And to me, you know, I've been covering Tennessee since I think 2000 for all but a couple of years, and
yes,
for me, there's no question that this game is the one I get most excited to cover all year long. I mean, there's all kinds of great games in this league, but this one you just kind of feel the history. You know, you see those two uniforms and you hear those two fight songs and see those two colors out there. And it's just, it's to me, it's what SEC football is all about is a game like this. And in an era where so many things are changing, this game is still the third Saturday in October, sometimes anyways. And that's a good thing.
In all of our minds anyway, at least.
Oh yeah. No question.
And the two colors, the crimson and the orange, are the fall colors, right? Of the leagues.
Right. It's just that, you know, it's that time of year. I think it's funny because it's been kind of a late summer here. Basically, it's been really warm, and then all of a sudden it turns into Bama week, and it's like in the 40s now, upper 40s at night, and it's like fall got here quickly, and I think fall knew what week it was.
It did. It sure did. But Wes, you know, the beginning of the season, my projection was that Josh Heupel had his quarterback, Nico Yamalava, and I thought because he had his quarterback that they were going to be a prolific offense, and they did against these non-conference opponents. But the last 2 or 3 games against the SEC, it's been 25 against Oklahoma. That includes the safety, I believe, the 14 against Arkansas, and then the 23 points with overtime against Florida.
Yeah, I would put the Oklahoma game was different because Tennessee had such control over that game that it just kind of, in the second half, it just kind of compressed the game and was happy to see that one out basically. And
right.
But the other two, there's no question they've just had some. They've not been good. And I think it's easy to point fingers at the quarterback, and I think in some cases it's justifiable. He's missed some throws here and there, but
Yes.
I think the protection is where everything starts. I don't think they've protected him very well at the tackle spots. That's been an issue that, this is a really experienced offensive line. It's 4 seniors, and then Lance Hurd, the sophomore, is a former 5-star prospect. And they just have been leaking too much on the outsides of that offensive line. And I think that's kind of getting the quarterback, a young quarterback, especially, it's getting him sped up. And I think he's probably gotten a little bit ahead of himself at times, and he's gotten a little rattled. And I think that starts with protection. I think he's kind of seeing things to his left and right, and that's all it takes, right? Because if you want to hit big plays in the passing game, that's a chain of like 5 things that have to happen, right? You got to get the snap off. Quarterback's got to, get the ball, see the field. The receiver's got to get open. Ball's got to get out on time. Receiver's got to catch it. All of those things have to happen in order, basically those 5 or 6 things. And if one link breaks down, the chain doesn't work. You have to have all of those things working, and they haven't consistently been good enough in any of them. But I think it starts with the line of scrimmage. I think a group that should be better needs to play better. I think they go against that defensive line that Tennessee has every day in practice, and that's as good a group as there is in college football. So they ought to be getting better, and we'll see. They need to.
The receivers have been giving him the proper support, have they not, Wes? Catching the football?
For the most part. I mean, then you start to get into more technical arguments of, are they running the correct routes, and are they doing, things like that, because everybody's doing the read stuff now in the pass game. But and they've been a little dinged up too. Dante Thornton could only play 4 snaps last week. One was a big catch in overtime, but he's been dinged up with a knee. Brew McCoy's got a big club on one of his hands, and that's going to change things. And Squirrel White's been playing banged up too. So they've got guys there. They've got bodies. They've got pretty good depth, but the top end guys, they need those guys to either get a little healthier or just play a little better, because they have the ability to do that. They just need to do it.
Right. Wes, what has he been doing when there's been some leakage from the offensive line most of the time? What has he done?
He has occasionally, he's been able to step up in the pocket, feel the pressure correctly, and put the throw where it needs to go. And there have been times where he's kind of bailed a little bit. Maybe when he didn't have to, sometimes when he had no choice. Last week, they moved the pocket a little more. That helped him a little bit in some cases. And they played better in the second half, certainly, because the first half was just a disaster. But they, there's been a couple times where, like a lot of young quarterbacks, I think he wants to throw when he sees the guy open and not when it needs to go out on time. Like there's times where he's just about a half step or a step behind where he needs to be, because by the time he throws the ball, the guy's not open anymore. So, that's why coaches love old players, right? Because they read the field, they see the game, and they see, okay, this guy's covered right now, but I'm going to throw to a spot and he's going to get there, and I trust him, and he's going to make the play. And that's where experience comes in handy. And that's why coaches, get scared of playing young kids, even if they're 5 stars and all this, because there's just a football intelligence you got to have. And as good as Nico is, and he is very good, he's going to be very good. He's also a tot. He still is. And so he's got some learning to do. And I think if the offensive line protected him, that would speed that process along.
Yeah, that's one of the skills you have to develop as a top-notch quarterback, anticipation. And that's easily said than done.
Yes.
And
especially if you got 300-pound guys chasing you, it changes things.
Yeah, he's very talented. He's 6'5" or 6'6", and he's a volleyball player. He's athletic, and he has a strong arm. Definitely can play in this SEC and can get it through the tight windows.
Can make every throw. His ball placement early this season was so good. The upside in him is so real. There's a reason why some people thought he was an even better prospect than Arch, because he wasn't as polished, but his upside is just enormous. And he's athletic too, can run. There's a lot to like about him, and he works hard. Most of those, not to paint with a broad brush, but most of the Polynesian kids come from pretty good, hardworking families, and the kids work hard, and those guys, they work very hard, and they get better. And I think he will.
How's he been when he's on the run, Wes, throwing the football?
Like a lot of quarterbacks, he's not quite as accurate, I think, when he's on the run as opposed to when he's got his feet planted. But I still think when he's on the run, he can be more accurate than a lot of guys can. He just has to, it's a confidence thing. I think there's going to be one of these games, one of these SEC games, if he stays healthy, he's just going to explode. And it's just a matter, I think, of when it happens, because this is not one of those deals where like Joe Milton, it had been so long in his career and you were just kind of waiting and waiting. And,
Yes.
this
Years.
this kid's much, this kid didn't have, 2 or 3 years at Michigan to kind of get started and then get a foundation. And, this is a different deal here. This is a kid who, has played 6, 7 college games. And so it's going to happen. I mean, I've seen this kid enough to be like, okay, that's the goods. He just has to have time.
You've seen glimpses that gives you hope.
Oh yes. Oh yes. He can make throws even when he's not good, even when he has games where he's not great. He
Right.
makes 3 or 4 throws in those games that most guys just either don't make or can't make. And there was one last week where he was about half step late getting into the throw where it needed to go, but he put the ball in absolutely the only place it could have been caught. And I don't know how he put it there, but he did. But the receiver was covered a little bit. There was some mustard on the throw. It went through his hands, but even to get the ball close from where he was, it's a freak show play. I mean, he does those things that some quarterbacks just don't have the combination of touch and strength to make. And he can do that, and he can do it from different platforms. So there's no sure things in this business, but this kid's is still a pretty good bet.
Right. Wes, we have about a minute and a half. Do you think you can elaborate for a second on Josh Heupel? Would have been some of his comments concerning the quarterback.
Josh Heupel was a great quarterback himself. And so, he played the game obviously at the highest level you can in college, won a national championship, came in second for the Heisman. His NFL career was cut short in some ways because of a shoulder injury that just never got better. But he knows this game and he knows offense, and he knows, for the most part, ever since he's been a coach, his offenses have put lots of points on the board. And so I think he's earned some benefit of the doubt with some of these evaluations. And he's very high on this kid. And he did admit that Nico has not played as well as he wanted him to the past couple of weeks, but
Yes.
he still sees that trajectory going in the right direction. And I think that's important. And he's just got to play with confidence. He says all the time that if Nico just plays with confidence, he has the ability to do anything he wants to do in this game. He just has to have, the experience and the confidence to go do that stuff. And he's definitely, I don't know if rattled's the right word, but he's struggled a little bit the past couple of weeks, and he's got another challenge coming up this weekend. Full stop. He's got a tough challenge coming up, but he's got belief in this kid.
Yeah, I guess the best thing about it for Tennessee, the game is at home. He's going to have a lot of fan support,
It does
and
help.
the volume will be on his side.
Yes, and he won't, and most importantly, yes, he won't have to hear lots of noise when he's on the ball, and when he's, because Tennessee's offense is, they run a lot of that warp speed, that stuff, and you got to be moving to get that, and you got to get it done in a hurry, and being at home helps in that case for sure.
Okay. We've been speaking to Wes Rucker of 247 Go Vols, 247 Sports Go Vols, and we're going to be right back after these messages to continue our discussion of the Alabama-Tennessee game. Third Saturday in October, even if it's not the third Saturday, that's what we still call it, most of us. And we'll be right back after these messages with AP and Kelly as we see it.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greer's.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.
Let the games begin at Wind Creek Casino, where new players get a free play rebate of up to $1,000 based on their first day's play. Just stop by Player Services at any Alabama location and sign up for a rewards account to get all the details. Mention you heard this ad on the radio and give the code Kelly25, and we'll throw in a $25 free play bonus. That's KELLY 25. Don't miss out on our new player promise, exclusively from Wind Creek. Minimum $75 loss required for free play rebate. Get full details at windcreek.com or see Player Services.
And we're back with AP and Kelly as we see it, and our very special guest is Wes Rucker of 247 Sports Go Vols. And Wes, we were discussing the third Saturday in October, Alabama, the Crimson Tide versus the University of Tennessee Volunteers. Wes, what are some numbers you have that maybe tell the tale of the game before it's played?
I think it's interesting because I think Some of the things like red zone defense, I think, are pretty important. I think Tennessee's red zone defense has been exceptional this season. And really, the defense for Tennessee has been near the top 10 and everything all year. But they're, I think, fourth or fifth nationally in red zone defense. And that's been a big category. I know Texas is number one in red zone defense, but really people haven't even gotten to the red zone much against them. So that's not as big of a factor until we'll see if Georgia can change that. But no, and Bama's been in the 50s or so there. Those things matter because in this game, these offenses can reel off, yards a lot and they'll get to the red zone. But once you get into that red zone, into that compressed area, that's kind of, I think, where some of these games are decided in some ways. And so Tennessee's been really good in that area, and it's going to have to keep doing that, especially until the offense picks up a little bit, because it's weird to say that because, you think Josh Heupel, you think offense, but the defense with this team has been really good all year. And statistically, it's very, very good.
Yeah. These kind of games, if you're on the field goal side, that's not good. Touchdown side, you're feeling mighty good about your team.
Absolutely. If you go down there and get sevens, that's a lot more than threes. I'm not good at math. That's why I'm a writer, but I can tell you sevens more than three for sure. And both of them are more than zero, which Tennessee, Florida got inside scoring range like 4 times and came away with nothing in that game. So, you can do that. You pull that rabbit out of the hat. You're in good shape.
Hey, Wes, the Tennessee defense, I've been following them for a few years now. And when I say that, I think their progression has been on the ascent. I think last year they took a step back, but this year I thought the defense was going to be better, more athletic, especially in the secondary. They have the 2 edge rushers, Pierce. Definitely is an all-star type candidate, and the linebackers. But I thought the defense was getting better. What are your thoughts about the Tennessee defense under Josh Heupel this particular year?
Well, this is the best defensive line I've seen at Tennessee since I've covered the team, and in terms of depth, especially. And again, I got there right at kind of the tail end of Henderson, Haynesworth, when those two were there together, and Overstreet was in that group, and that was one heck of a defensive line. But the depth on this side is different. They really do. Rodney Garner, has been doing this for a long time, and he's been able to build another just really stout unit here. These guys are about 12 deep at defensive line, and they rotate in throughout the game, so they usually stay fresh. And sure, Pierce is the name everybody knows, but Josephs is also very good off the edge. Tyree West is very good, and then you got in the middle, you got guys like Omari Thomas and Elijah Simmons, and Omar Norman Lott, and you just go down the list of Jason Jenkins on the edge. They've just got a bunch of guys who are out there making plays, and that's helped them quite a bit. If you're good on the defensive line, that's kind of the foundation for everything. And they're going to be hurt at linebacker without Keenan Peely out. With him out, that's a blow. They're talented there behind him, so I think they'll be okay. But they're going to miss that guy. There's no doubt. I think. But they have gotten better at corner. I still think at safety they're solid. They're not really elite athletically there, but they're solid. They're fine. And then at corner, they're very athletic and very good. And that's going to be a fun matchup, I think, this weekend. Ryan Williams and some of those Bama receivers against guys like Jermod McCoy and Ricky Gibson III. Those are primetime future Sunday matchups right there.
Oh, yeah. People live to watch those matchups on the perimeter in this day and age of football, for sure. Wes, when I think of Josh Heupel, I think of an offense where the receivers get wide open because of their schemes. And, of course, they have good talent as well. And then the other thing people don't realize, I believe, is Josh Heupel likes to run the football, and he's got Dylan Sampson. He's an excellent running back in the SEC.
He's very, very good. Dylan Sampson, I think if you could build a running back that you wanted for a Heupel offense, you'd build someone that looked a lot like Dylan Sampson, just in terms of his versatility, his ability to do anything you need him to do. You can throw him the ball, you can hand him the ball, he can go off tackle, he can go up the middle, he can get tough yards when he needs to. Every time I look at him, I wonder how LSU let him get out of Baton Rouge. I don't know. I said that 2 years ago. I said that last year, and I'll say it this year. Like, there's a lot of kids down there in the swamps that are really good, and they're not going to get them all, and they're not going to nail every eval, but I don't know how they let Dylan Sampson get out of that city. He is a very, very dynamic player and a guy who's carried them at times the past couple of weeks. He nearly brought them back against Arkansas when they had no business being back in that game, and he helped them back in it. And against Florida down the stretch again, he was just so clutch and so good. And He is a very, very good player. And yes, you do think when Heupel, you think of all the open space they get because they get walk-in touchdowns because of the way they scheme things up. But the secret sauce to it's always been the running game. And that's been, if you have to bring an extra guy into the box to stop a Tennessee, runner, they're going to score 40 points. Just guarantee it because they're going to have so much space in the back end. And so teams have been changing things up to go against them recently, and that's given them some problems. Teams have gone to kind of 3-2-5 or 3-3 or 3-2-6, 3-3-5. They've thrown different kind of looks at them, but that's helped nullify some of the things Tennessee does because if you have to bring a sixth guy into the box against the run for Tennessee, you're not going to win. You're going to have to score 40, 50 points to win. So that's been big is that teams have gotten better against that, but Sampson still made some yards the hard way.
Wes, can the tight end be a factor for Tennessee in this ball game as a surprise?
I think so. They've got 3 good ones. I mean, Tennessee's got Kitzelman, who is a transfer from Alabama. So, this game will be important for him. And he's been, just to be frank, a much better player than I thought he was. I knew he was a solid player, but he's been better as a receiver than I thought he was going to be. And then with Holden Stays, the Notre Dame transfer, he's a very good player also, a guy who can make plays. And then maybe the most talented of the bunch is the redshirt freshman, Ethan Davis, who at some point is going to be a star. I think it's just a matter of him getting, he's got to keep getting a little bit bigger, do some things a little sharper. But athletically as a receiver, he is special, I think. And so they've got 3 good tight ends. And I think this could be a game where, yes, I mean, if Alabama, they've had some issues matching things up on the back end, which is unusual for that program, but they're going through a transition. They're going through changes. And so there's maybe more space against them than there usually is. And I think the tight ends at Tennessee have a chance to expose that.
Yeah, they're young in the secondary, Alabama, and I always tell people that's the last line of defense. If you make the mistake, it could be a wide open touchdown. It's not because of your ability, athletic ability or skill. It's the coordination between those people in the defensive backfield.
Right, yeah, if they got to speak the same language. If you're in a zone, I mean that's a lot of coaches think of that as the safer thing to do. I actually think Tennessee's better in man defense than zone defense right now because they've had a couple of busts and who gets where, because it's not just like a foolproof thing. You still got to make sure this is my area, this is your area. And teams run those zone beaters that bring the 2 guys into the area and have them go different ways and motions, and they'll get you discombobulated in a hurry. And if you're not tight on your zones, you're going to get exposed.
Wes, what do you think about Alabama? Just give a brief outlook and how they could challenge Tennessee. I mean, Jalen Milroe, he's one of the better athletes on the team if he gets loose.
Oh, if you let Milroe get loose, you're going to have a long day. I mean, you have to keep him hemmed in the pocket. And that's, again, one of those things that's much easier said than done, but that's the challenge. That's what you got to do. If you let him get out of the pocket, he's going to hurt you. And because his guys are going to get open and he's going to be able to run for big gains. He can make big splash plays with his legs. Even though Tennessee's very athletic on the defense, Milroe's more athletic than a lot of those guys on Tennessee's defense. So if he gets into the open field, they're not going to catch him unless they got a great angle. And he's still explosive. So there's some consistency issues there, which is weird because his deep ball has always been very good. It's so good. He's so accurate with that. But some of the intermediary stuff, he's got to get a little sharper there. But I think they're running the ball well when they're running it. I just think that Alabama's issue in some ways has been the discipline in some ways. And I think that's common when you got a new staff and you're trying to figure things out in terms of, wait, this used to mean this. Now it means that. We used to do it this way. Now we're doing it this way. This was the call. Now this is the call. Those things happen when you're getting used to a new structure, but they just have to be tighter back there. And if they're not tighter back there, you've seen teams can expose that. And they got to get better on third downs too. I mean, Vanderbilt stayed on the field all day long, and that's how Vanderbilt beat Alabama. And so if Alabama is going to be loose with the ball and loose with some structure stuff, they'll have problems. But this is the most talented offense Tennessee has faced all season, without question. Milroe's the best quarterback Tennessee's seen this season, without question. So it's a challenge both ways. There's no doubt about it. It's this. Nick Saban's not coaching there anymore, but there's still some dudes on that team now. They're very talented.
Oh, hey, Wes, the last 30 seconds. What about the kicking game if it becomes close?
I like Tennessee in the kicking game. I know more about Tennessee, obviously, as a kicking game than I do about Bama, but I know that Tennessee feels really good about its situation, got a great kicker, got a great punter, and they're good on coverage units. They can block and they can return. So if Tennessee lost in the kicking game, that would be an area that would be bad for Tennessee, because that's an area where against a team like Alabama, Tennessee's got to be able to win in those areas. And if it doesn't, then the calculus for a win gets a little more difficult. So, I think that's a pretty good matchup. I would maybe slightly favor Tennessee there, but they're both good.
Hey, Wes, we want to thank you so much. Wes Rucker of 247 Sports, go Vols, check him out. And Wes, I'll see you up there on Saturday at some point. And
I'll be there. Bring your warmest jacket because it's the coldest press box in the continental United States. So no matter, it could be 90 degrees outside and it won't be, but if it is, it's still going to be cold in that press box. So bring your warmest coat.
I'll remember that. This is AP and Kelly as we see it. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greer's.com and use groceries to go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. I'm AP Stedham with Dr. Jason Northcutt of Robertsdale Dental Care.
AP, not only do we offer basic full-service dental treatment, but I also have developed a niche within the practice where I provide comprehensive dental implant services, such as single implants, bone grafting, and full mouth reconstruction. I've been highly trained in those disciplines to offer comfortable and long-lasting solutions to major dental problems.
Come by and see Dr. Jason Northcutt at Robertsdale Dental Care.
And we're back with AP and Kelly as we see it, and our special guest host, Jacob Holcomb from Mississippi State University, our producer. Jacob, we want to thank our guest, Wes Rucker from 247 Sports, go Vols. That was an interesting and elaborate discussion we had about the big ball game, third Saturday in October, Alabama versus Tennessee. We're going to give our thoughts, Jacob. I believe the balance of the game will be between Alabama's secondary, which we know is suspect, versus Tennessee's offense with that freshman quarterback, Nico Iamaleava. Whoever can play the best game is probably going to be the winner. I believe it's going to be Tennessee's offense versus the suspect Alabama secondary. We know Alabama could score points against anyone. They always say, when I believe in an offense, I always say they score in the locker room. They can score. They can score from the locker room before the game. They're so prolific with Jalen Milroe and company, and Ryan Williams. He's been so dynamic at the wide receiver position, the freshman from Alabama, Saraland High School, right here in LA, Lower Alabama. So I'm sure it'll be a closely contested ball game. And Alabama is, number 7 in the country. Tennessee, the 11th. Alabama's a 2.5-point favorite. It's going to be a close ball game. Could be a field goal like it was 2 years ago when Tennessee made that dramatic play at the end of the game. Brew McCoy made that sensational catch from Hendon Hooker, the quarterback, and then they brought on the field goal kickers about, I think it was 45 or 50 yards, something like that, to win the ball game. Yeah. So, but I think it'll be an excellent. You can't miss this game if you're an SEC fan.
Absolutely. I'm going to be seated right in front of the television, most certainly.
Jacob, what's the next game we want to discuss?
Yeah, up next, UGA heading out to Austin to play number 1 Texas.
Right. Jacob, I covered that game last week, the Red River rivalry. Mm-hmm. I know that Texas is probably one of the most balanced teams in the country. Quinn Ewers return. They have a set of good running backs, wide receivers, excellent defense. Texas's pass offense is 11th. Their total and scoring offense is 7th. Their rush defense 23rd. Passing and scoring defense is number 2 in the country, 2-1. And then the sacks 15, tackles for loss 8. Total defense number 1. And we know Georgia has some good stats as well. The rush offense, but the rush offense, we always mention this, is way down. It's still 92. And Kirby Smart, somebody who likes to run. Pass offense is 9th because Carson Beck, he's throwing it all over the place, Jacob, if you've been watching these games, because I think he's had to perform his magic because the team has been unsuccessful rushing football.
Yeah, the offensive line for UGA has definitely left a lot to be desired for. And that kind of, we were mentioning it me and a few of my buddies the other day, kind of recapping the Georgia versus Mississippi State game. You would think Mike Leach was coaching for UGA as many times as they throw the ball. I mean,
Yeah,
they put the ball in the air 48 times against Mississippi State.
Mississippi State, my goodness. Yeah, that was a tight ball game. The score ended up 41-31 for sure.
Yeah.
This series, Jacob, is 1 for Georgia and 4 for Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I just wanted to go back to the Alabama game for a second. Give the series is 59-39 and 7 ties in favor of Alabama. 59-39-7. But the Georgia-Texas game, they haven't played very often. 1-4 in favor of Texas. Just a couple more numbers. The scoring offense is 35 for Georgia. Total defense 28. That's pretty good. Scoring defense 20. Sacks 78. Turnover margin 83rd. That's not a good number. Because Kirby Smart, he always mentions turnovers and rushing, and those two numbers are way down this year for Georgia. So Texas is favored by 4, the number 1 team on the road. I suspect that Texas probably win this ball game close at home.
Yeah, I would honestly take Texas to beat that spread. They're just, I think they're the better team. UGA's defense, Quinn Ewers is going to be able to throw. And then with UGA's inability to establish any sort of run game against this Texas defense, I mean, Georgia's going to score, but I would take Texas to win by more than 4.5.
I just want to make this one point, Jacob. Texas has not played against a top quarterback. Michigan, they won big up there, double digits, of course. And then they played Oklahoma with a freshman quarterback. They didn't put in Jackson Arnold. We'll discuss that in a second. But Texas has yet to play a very good quarterback. I'm interested to see how they play against Carson Beck. He's going to complete some passes. And we're going to find out a lot about Texas's defense, which is highly rated. But they've really blown out most opponents this year because of the offenses are not very good. And it's due to the quarterbacks.
Yeah, those DBs for Texas are definitely going to get tested. Mississippi State, I watched that game in person. They were able to get wide receivers behind that secondary a few times. They weren't able to connect, but it should be an interesting test for sure.
Oh yeah, we got to move on there, Jacob. So we settled that one.
We got LSU versus Arkansas, the battle for the boot.
Oh my goodness, that's a great series. 44-23-2 in favor of LSU. LSU, the 8th ranked team, playing Arkansas unranked. LSU is a 3-point favorite. Of course, LSU last week, they lost in overtime. They won in overtime, against Ole Miss, 29-26, a dramatic ball game. Garrett Nussmeier, you know what I like about Garrett Nussmeier, Jacob?
What's that?
He trusts his receivers. He'll put that ball in the air when it's a one-on-one situation. Some quarterbacks won't. I've seen that in the past. Some good quarterbacks, they hesitate, but he has total trust, and he'll throw the football to his receivers. Arkansas had a bye, but I think LSU playing on the road, that's a scary game if Talon is Talon Green, right? He's the quarterback for Arkansas. If he's healthy, and Jaquindon Jackson, and then Armstrong, the wide receiver. But LSU rush offense 100, way down there.
Yeah,
with that offensive line, it's surprising, right? Very surprising. Another glaring number: pass defense for LSU, Jacob, 100.
Wow.
So, but I think their defense actually is getting better. I mean, they held Ole Miss to 26 points. I think that was a good defensive effort, considering it was LSU. So I think they're getting better. I think they're getting better. Another number: total defense 76, sacks they're 4th. Jacob, that's a nice number. Sacks and total.
Great number.
Tackles for loss 25 as well. Total offense 25. Pass offense 6th. So they're dynamic on the perimeter with Garrett Nussmeier and company, Kyron Lacey and everything. For the pass and the rush offense for Arkansas, 24-33. Those are good numbers. Total offense 8th. Arkansas's got a good offense. Pass defense 69. That could be trouble. That could be trouble for Arkansas against LSU. Scoring defense 30. That's pretty good, actually. So Arkansas has been playing some fairly good on that side of the ball. Turnover margin minus 30.33. That's 88th in the country. So That could spell trouble for Arkansas if they give up the ball. Yeah. So what do we got up next, Jacob?
Next, Texas A&M coming down to Stark Vegas.
Stark Vegas.
Mississippi State.
Number 14, Texas A&M, 15.5-point favorite. They had a bye last week. Mississippi State had the loss to Georgia, 41-31 on the road. The series, Jacob, do you know the series numbers on this?
I don't know them off the top of my head. I know Mississippi State has historically overperformed against A&M.
You're correct. Texas A&M 8, Mississippi State 9.
Yep.
Mississippi State leads that series. So, it should be Mississippi State. Can they pull off the upset? Their quarterback played fairly well, right? Michael Van Buren Jr.
Yeah. Van Buren against UGA was 20 of 37 with 306 yards and 3 touchdowns. Threw 1 pick, but other than that, he's looked outstanding. He's looked better every game he's played.
Yeah, pretty impressive. So A&M, watch out on that. Watch out, because when you're a freshman, Jacob, and you have a good ball game, you're bliss. Ignorance is bliss. You think you can beat anybody, and if you play that way, fearless, sometimes miracles happen. And they're playing at home. The cowbells will be ringing. So watch out for Mississippi State versus Texas A&M.
Absolutely. And
okay, go ahead, Jacob.
I was going to say, and that the stadium is going to be. You think it's a 1-5 team, but the stadium is going to be, I think, more heavily filled than you would expect, because we're honoring that 2014 magical team this year or this week.
That could influence the crowd for sure. What do we have next, Jacob? We got to hustle along here.
Yes. South Carolina versus Oklahoma.
Yeah, South Carolina, Oklahoma never played. First meeting, Jacob. South Carolina 3-3, Oklahoma 4-2. They're a 3-point favorite. Mike Hawkins Jr. From Dallas, a dual threat quarterback. Their receivers have been injured all season. I think Oklahoma is probably going to prevail. South Carolina coming off that dramatic loss to Alabama by 2 points on the road. They played sensational. Jake, we got to move fairly quickly here. The last game, I'll just bring this up. Ball State, Vandy, the 26.5-point favorite. That'd be really a downer if they lost this ball game. So look for the Commodores to win. And Jacob, we ran out of time. That's our last ball game. So we thank you for joining AP and Kelly as we see it. And we'll be back next week with another edition. Thank you.
Let the games begin at Wind Creek Casino, where new players get a free play rebate of up to $1,000 based on their first day's play. Just stop by Player Services at any Alabama location and sign up for a rewards account to get all the details. Mention you heard this ad on the radio and give the code Kelly25, and we'll throw in a $25 free play bonus. That's KELLY 25. Don't miss out on our new player promise, exclusively from Wind Creek. Minimum $75 loss required for free play rebate. Get full details at windcreek.com or see Player Services.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greer's.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.